Absolutely. I was just thinking, Danny, the first time we've had the pleasure of you in the house. So here's our modest little decor.
Yes, fairly modest. It's nice. It's nice. I like your colours. They're colours of the Leos, you know, the oranges and the lemons. I like that. And
are you
the
into all of
colours,
that, are
yes.
you? What do you like at home, and what sort of taste do you have in your own houses?
I'm very Catholic in my taste. I mean, I'll have an antique piece of china or something and a modern lamp. I think it's nice to mix and match, as the girls say, when they're wearing lovely clothes. I like to mix and match. Most of the things, of course, when you reach 70, you have collector things. You see, where some people would gamble, I'd buy something with my mate Jack, who you knew, of course, and he died not long ago, but we were together 32 years, and we bought things. So when I go in and I'm a bit tired, I look at the things we bought together, and there's sort of, you get a cuddly feeling, as if there's warmth.
I remember seeing you had a stately home at one point, which unfortunately
I
know sort of went by the board. You lost a lot.
Yes.
But in the middle of all of that, you had this very OTT theatrical apartment, didn't you?
Well, it was the only thing there. No, I didn't think it had green couches and some nice prints and things like that. And I didn't think it was OTT. I'm only OTT when I throw a frock on.
Are you going to throw a frock on today? Or
I don't think so. It takes a bit longer than that. But you all know what I look like, don't you?
I loved it when Danny said his figure actually normally hangs up on a hook.
Well, somebody says you've got a great figure. I said, well, it's hanging up at the moment, you know, the boobs and things.
That's a trick I might try in the future, I must admit.
Well, I have everything made into the costume. I've got a wonderful, brilliant girl, Anne Galbraith, who you know. I think Anne's made some things for you at the beginning.
She has, in the dim, distant past, yes.
And the sad thing is, just this weekend, I lost one of my great friends, who probably was the greatest designer in the world. You know, he designed Danny at the Palace, Our Miss Freddy, designed so many shows, all my TV specials. And when a very close friend goes, I'm a great believer they only go away, like it's a holiday, and we meet up again.
As they always say, in the next room.
In the next room. We came from Ireland. My mother, bless her, used to take us to the variety shows, met Edgware Road. And I watched a lovely little man from Bristol called Randolph Sutton, about the same size as Ronnie. And he had a very gentle way of working, very gentle. And I loved his little song. And when I sort of made a bit of a name, they said, we'd like you to make a record. And I said, oh, I like Mother Kelly, because I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but it's a charming... And they made it, and it was in the top 10 for quite a while. And Randolph was a bit upset because he'd never recorded it. And I went to see him at a Waterrath function, and I said, the only reason I did it was because of my admiration for you. Tell you how long ago it was, and he said, what a nice young man.
So you had the hit with it anyway.
Yes, very good. But it's a nice tune, you know. It's actually his.
You mentioned your mum, and you talk about her quite a lot, and clearly you had a great relationship. How tough was it?
She was a dear friend.
When you know, I know that you left Cork around the age of 9. When she first came to London, because that's a big transition to come to a big city like that.
Well, being Catholic, she worked in the Catholic school, which she did the food for them. And in the afternoon, she would clean the altars. I was an altar boy. I think you get what God gives you. You know, I never realized when I was a tiny little fella that size that I would be having people like everyone, Noel Coward, Betty Grable, Judy Garland, all these marvelous people saying hello and singing. And life has a sort of magic. And I prefer to believe in the magic of life instead of being very depressive. The world is depressive
Yes,
enough.
You're a very up person by nature, aren't you?
I think it's very necessary. When I go every night, a very long tour, at my age, people think I'm mad. But I hear laughter every single night, lots of laughter, lots of applause, because we bring them a bit of glitz. And not only that, talent. See, I'm not a lone wolf. I have very talented people, wonderful comic, Steve Barclay, wonderful, wonderful singer, Linda Watts, which the twins, who work with me since 1973, married 2 of my girls, share 5 children. They're from Stockton-on-Tees. They Gaza people, I call them.
It's like a whole family, isn't it?
Well, the theatre is like a family, and especially when you go into pantomime, which is like 10 weeks, and you do a little bit of cooking like John. It's your home. We are people, they call us gypsies, you see, we're on the road. But I enjoy it. I think it's kept me young.
I would love to see the number of suitcases you have to have for the frocks. I want to tell you a little story because when I was very young, when I was a very young teenager in Northern Ireland, I did a bit of singing.
Yes, I know.
And my Aunt Myrtle made all my frocks.
I remember.
And I used to watch you on the telly, and there was one night when you came on the Palladium and you swept across the stage with this huge cloak that had ostrich feathers all around the edge. And I went to my Aunt Myrtle and I said, we can't afford the feathers, but what can I do to achieve this? And so she made this ruched material all around the edge.
That's lovely, very, very good. See, people think now, I started at £6 a week was Danny LaRue. I said, well, Danny Carroll was here, got £6. I get about 7 now, you see. You have to be able to laugh, especially when you throw a frock on. You laugh at yourself.
But I've seen you, you know, with the bare legs
Yeah,
and, you know, the very, very sort of up here. I have to ask you a very delicate question.
Yes, it's all right.
Where do you put it? What do you do with it when
Well,
you...
how many fellas do you know walk backwards, travel wee-wee? It can be a bit uncomfortable, I know, but no. I've used that. Princess Margaret asked me that in my nightclub once. She said, oh, Danny, darling, where do you put it? You see, so it's nice.
And what did you
I think you
answer
have
her?
to laugh at yourself. I did what I said.
You whistled
How many
for
fellas
it?
you whistle, it goes away on its own. You know? But I think Dan walks into a theatre and the dressing room has several ladies. It could be Zsa Zsa Gabor, Shirley Bassey, it could be anybody. Yeah. And I've known them all. It's lovely to have known. They're all contemporaries. I wouldn't attempt any young ladies. It would be rather silly. But I paid my dues. That's
You
nice.
have. I want...
No, you see, music hall, like Gilbert and Sullivan, like pantomime, is very much part of the British tradition. I mean, early music hall, they did in church altars and the backs of lorries, the great Marie Lloyds and all those wonderful people. And people say, are you mad doing musicals? They forget entrepreneurs, except the ones I work for. Remember, there are a lot of people over 40, and they like nice songs. They're wonderful. The theatre is a wonderful pattern. You get alternative comedy, you get pop stars, you get... It's like a wonderful painting. Everything is necessary. My part is supplying a very nice show with nice people, champagne at beer prices, and a laugh. And that's
Lovely.
what they like.